right. Good morning, everybody, and to everybody. Good morning. Hopefully, you're having a great morning. There's some technology that I am playing around with. I'm playing around with it because I'm getting ready to do something that I thought was kind of over, but I don't think it is. I still think I have a little bit of gas in the tank. I'm going to go back in radio. I'm debating, am I bringing the Terrence Pickett show back, or am I going to put Coffee Time on radio? That's kind of where I am now. So I need you to help me make a decision with that. Before I go any further, Nikki Nicole Mitchell, I did get your message. I did get the email. I did read it. There are some things that I do want to go over with you, and hopefully I can do so as soon as I get off of here. Corey Doolittle, what up, bro? What's going on, man? Corey, it's always good to see you. Chiquita, hey there, how are you? And then there's my sister, my girl, Chanel Brace. What up? What up, Chanel? Yeah, okay. Want to make sure you all are not getting an echo. Because this equipment, some of it's new, some of it's old, but we're doing things a different way, and I got to make sure that it's right. Roslyn Jones, good morning, Rara. Hadn't seen or heard from you in a New York minute. Friends don't love like they used to, but it's okay. Jesus loves me. So this morning, I wanna talk to you. Our topic is you can judge people. I know many of us, we've heard it. They've got songs. You can't judge me. Can't nobody judge me but God. Lies. We have to judge things, and we have to judge people because our ability to see clearly enlightens the path for our future. If we're not judging things and judging people, then we can easily allow those people who have not been good to us to continue that pattern because we won't judge what they've done. There's a scripture that a lot of people lean on that I think it's in Matthews that says, judge ye not that ye be not judged. Well, you need to read that whole chapter. Now, we don't have the final judgment as it relates to a person's soul, whether they go to heaven or hell, but we can judge. We can judge. We're supposed to judge. And that's kind of what I want to talk about this morning. There's a process in judging. There's a scale that we should use. We can't just, or we shouldn't just judge people based on the emotion that we are in for the moment. So when you wake up and you're feeling good, had your coffee, checking the mail, you feeling good about yourself, you're feeling good about the day. And as a result of that, you're going to give everybody grace. You're going to give everybody grace. But the mornings, you don't feel like rising. You had a hard time sleeping. The issues of yesterday spilled over into today, and it's just been a rough morning. You can't find your shoe, that belt that you've been looking for. You can't find that. There's a blouse that you put in the cleaners you forgot to get out. And in addition to all of that, you're tired. You haven't gotten much rest. You're up under a great deal of stress, and you're not feeling well. Now it's time for you to get to work, and you can't find your keys. So you finally find your keys. You get in your car. They cut you off. They run you off the road. I mean, road rage is at an all-time high. And all these things are happening to you. And with these things, your mood has been set. And to a great extent, the mood is offset because of some of the things that you've had to encounter in the course of the morning. So you get to work And the wrong person says the wrong thing. Maybe they're being comical. Maybe they're trying to be sarcastic, or maybe they're just being innocent. But because the morning has not been what you expected, you give them what they were not expecting, and that's not right. That's not fair. And all of us have those days where we're just today ain't a day. Okay, soldier, stay in line and fly on, but don't bring no foolishness over here. But it's in those days when we're not feeling up to par, when we're not feeling our best, when we're stressed and things aren't flowing in the direction that we imagine. It's in those days and in those times that we have to rely on the discipline that we should have built in our character. And that discipline says, hey, I don't want to do this today, and I don't want to do it with you. But because I've checked my emotions, I have emotional intelligence and self-control. It's going to give me the opportunity to judge things and judge you fairly. I'm not going to give you how I feel. So I may not be as hyper as I normally am, but I have you on my mind. And you don't deserve to be treated the way that I feel. So if I'm feeling bad or things are just not going, can you all hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Is there an echo, or am I busting your speakers? Let me know. I need your feedback because I'm getting some levels that are not good. It says I'm in the red. Help me out. Can you all hear me okay? Am I too loud? Too much bass? Because I brought my bass with me this morning. I did. Okay. Thank you, Christelle Chanel. Good to see you this morning. Thank you for tuning in. Nancy Falco, good to see you this morning. Thank you, Chanel. Okay. So I have to practice emotional intelligence so that I don't become offensive to the people who have been assigned to help me. And it's easy to do. I promise you it's easy to do. Sometimes because we're accustomed to being who we are, sometimes we get caught up in being ourselves that we really don't pay attention to how we make others feel. Now, here's the crazy part. You pay attention to how they make you feel. But I think we have to do a better job at taking notice on how our words, our actions, our position, how it affect other people. I'm convinced where God guides, he provides. Where there's vision, there's provision. I believe that there are people in line waiting on you to step up to the plate and be who you were created to be. And for those of you that are being that person, or you've started being that person, walking in what God wants you to walk in, if the people aren't there, if the provision isn't there, then there has to be some level of self-evaluation. Because where God guides, he provides. If the provision is not there and he's giving you the vision, that means that something has to be realigned. Something has to be reevaluated. Something has to be reassessed. All the re's goes there. And I just want to talk about one side of the reevaluation when it comes to people. I know that God has sent us people to help get this vision out, to help you do the thing that he's called you to do. Renee Jones, good to see you. Good to see you this morning. I know the people are there. Here's what I believe. I believe we are losing people because we are mismanaging them. We're mismanaging people because we refuse to acknowledge the flaws that are in our character. Now, when we talk about you can judge, well, you got to judge yourself Because if you judge others and you've not judged yourself, then every judgment that you're going to give is going to be improper. You have to make sure that you're in the right position, the right state of mind to judge before you start judging. You have to make sure you're in a right state of mind to judge yourself. What are the things about me that I know I can clearly see need to change? I had a situation to happen where someone was telling me something that they needed, and I went about getting it done, getting it resolved. Something happened. I stopped. I go back to doing it again, but it wasn't a big issue. Hear me carefully. I was concerned. I did care, but I had some other fish on my plate that I felt were heavier. And it wasn't that I put their issue and my issue on the same scale. I'm going to take care of this. This is more important. That's not how it happens. Sometimes we subconsciously push things aside because we fail to live in the moment. Let me talk about that living in the moment. Your mind is everywhere because you're involved in too much. You're doing too much. Your mind is everywhere. You're doing too much. You have so much responsibility on you until you can't really focus on where you are and what you're supposed to be doing. So you are evading the moment. You're not there. You're not conscious. So whoever's in that moment don't get all of you. They're getting pieces of you. And you're making calls and you're making plays and you're judging things, but you're not fully there. Okay. And in order to get out of that place where you're not fully there, I'm going to tell you what you got to do. You've got to reorganize your life and reorganize your day. Everything is not top priority. You're not going to be able to do everything today. You have 24 hours in this day, and at least 8 of those hours you're asleep or traveling. So you got 16 left. The average person works an 8-hour day. All right, of those 16 hours, you're at work 8. You've got 8 hours left. That includes travel. That includes taking lunch. That includes whatever you got to do. Making dinner, you don't have but 8. So in the grand scheme of things, everything cannot be priority. You have to prioritize your day. You've got to put your day on paper. You've got to write it down. You cannot chance it to memory. A short pencil is better than a long memory. And so many times we try to commit things to memory, and the more responsibilities you have, the more prone you are to forget. So if you're going to reorganize your day or organize your day, you got to write this stuff down, keep it before you so you can see not only what's happening today, but you've got to see what your commitments are tomorrow. Now, hear me and hear me good. When you're living and your day is unorganized, it in itself brings an amount of stress that you shouldn't have to deal with or contend with. And that stress is added to whatever stress you're going to have to deal with in that day. So now you're trying to make proper sound judgments and you stressed out. And if you don't have the discipline to manage stress, you're making decisions under stress. So something is being under or over evaluated. Something is being misjudged. Someone is being misjudged. I want to talk about, so you have people, you have good people that do bad things. I'm going to say that again. You have good people that do bad things. You have bad people that do good things. How do you judge who's who? Maya Angelou She said something. I'm gonna do a live on it. I promise. I've been trying to get to it. I wanted to do it last week, but she said something. She says, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. But if you've not properly judged the person, you can misjudge the person and put them in a category where they don't belong because they had a bad moment. All of us have had bad moments. All of us have been faced with making decisions. All of us have been faced with making judgments in the heat of the moment when we're under pressure and we've mismanaged those moments. All of us have failed in some way or another, in character or in action, because we were under pressure, or maybe the temptation was just too great and you could not withstand it. You didn't have enough in you. So even though it was a bad moment, that doesn't make you a bad person. The difference between Peter and Judas in action and principle did the same thing. Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Judas was about that money. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Both of them are betrayal. But the difference between Peter and Judas is Peter had a bad moment. Judas had a bad heart. So when we say stuff like, when a person shows you who they are, believe them, that has to be properly scaled. That cannot be scaled by the action and the action alone. Now here, this person's been good to you. This person has been consistent. This person has been there. This person has always had your back, and they go through a moment of pressure. You don't know. Somebody could have died in their family. Maybe they got hit by the IRS. Maybe they found a crack pipe in their child's room. You don't know what kind of pressure people are under. So they're not acting the way that they normally act. They're not giving you what you normally get. The energy is off. You sense that there is something wrong here, maybe by the person's response, and you judge them for that moment, and it's not indicative of who they've been to you, then you have falsely judged that person. Now you want to talk about them. You want to distance yourself. No, what has happened is that situation brought out what was in your heart, because this person has been faithful. They've been committed. They've been good to you. DeJuan McIntyre, good to see you. And they had a bad moment. Or here's another situation. Maybe a person was under pressure, and in the moment they failed. Maybe it was a moral failure. Maybe they miscalculated. Maybe they didn't stand up for you the way you felt like they should have. Maybe, just maybe in the moment of pressure, they did something that was extremely distasteful to you. Now, do you judge them off the moment alone, or do you consider who they've been in the past? Because you have good people that have bad moments. I had a close friend one time, and he's gone home to be with the Lord. Miss my brother terribly. And he made a decision and said some things about me that got back. Watch. I can guarantee you rest for sure. Whenever information comes back to you, I can promise you the entire commentary isn't included. People will tell you the part they heard, or they'll tell you the interpretation of what they heard. And based on the mood that they're in and how they interpret things, they come back to you with their interpretation, their commentary, their personal commentary, based on how they feel and how they see. But you got to get all of the evidence before you make a judgment, because it could be It could be that the conversation started one way. There's so many things that could have happened for you to just get one piece and run. So anyway, he said some things about me I didn't like, so I called him. And I'm like this with people. I'm gonna give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I am. You're gonna have to prove you wrong with me. Now, if I see a pattern of oh, this is what they do. Oh, okay. Somebody else say they did the exact same thing. I don't generally join. So you know what they did that? I don't generally do that. I do not. Because I understand people have people problems. And one of the reasons I try to be as merciful as I can towards others is that there's a scripture in the Bible that says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. To the same measure you give, you receive. So it's not just me wanting people to be right. It's also me being fair in my judgment, because guess what? There have been moments when I've been off. There have been moments when I've done the wrong thing. There have been moments where I've caved in to whatever. And in those moments, I need mercy. I need grace. So what God says here is that if you want to determine the level of mercy you receive, God has placed you in the driver's seat. How? Well, you get to control it to a certain extent. How much have you given? You know, I'm amazed at you humans who want all this grace and mercy, and you want people to forgive you, and you want people to give you another chance. Yet you're extremely reckless when it comes to providing that same level of grace and mercy towards somebody else. I told a friend yesterday, sometimes I'm not going to say that. I won't say it. But I will say this. I've met some people that were so good, who I have a brother, biological brother, who transitioned, went home to be with the Lord in 2012. His name was Freddie. Had a heart out of this world for people. And the same people that he was riding for couldn't wait to throw him out of a moving vehicle. The same people that he was defending couldn't wait for the opportunity to stick a knife in his back. And we'd get in arguments. We would. Because I'm telling him, you too naive. Them people not for you. But he had a weakness. And his weakness was he had a pure heart. And this is my personal opinion about my brother. I don't think these humans deserved him. I think he was too good for these humans. Some of them, at least. He is too good for these humans. Humans really don't recognize a good gift until it's gone. And you can see that, and it becomes evident in how we parade people when they die. And we talk about how good they are when they die. But when they're alive, we treat them like dirt. K-Press, good to see you this morning. And I think we have to slow down. We have to slow down and appreciate people and the gift that they bring not only to us, but to our world. And a lot of times we're injured by people, emotionally injured. We're hurt or offended. And that one offense, if you're not careful, will stand in the way of all the good that person has done. And it's only because we're not properly judging. We're not properly judging people. What do you mean, Pickett? We're not properly judging? Just what I said. You can't judge people by one or two incidents, and you can't judge a person by their weakness. A person's weakness is their weakness. It should be in a category by itself. And we should know, if we're really getting to know people, you say you're close to someone, you should know what their weaknesses are and not hold their weaknesses against them, because more than likely, when a person responds out of weakness, it's not them involuntary movement. It's involuntary. I think another thing that we have to do when it comes to judging people is consider ourselves. There's a scripture in the Bible that says when a brother is overtaken in a fault, all you folk that's supposed to be so spiritual, it says when a brother is overtaken, a brother, sister, is talking about brother is mankind, is overtaken in a fault, ye that are spiritual, go and save that brother. Go get that brother out. And it says while you're there, take heed lest you fall. In other words, make sure you're not unfairly judging. Make sure that you're giving mercy. Make sure that you are considering this could be me. How did this person get here? What are some of the things they miscalculated? Or what are some of the things that went above them? What are some things that was above them in terms of knowledge? At what level of ignorance are they walking in? What level of knowledge are they walking in? Was this done because they didn't know, or was it done because of the proclivity or propensity in their flesh? Was this done because they're having a bad day, or was this done because they have a bad heart? You got to consider all that stuff. The older I've gotten, the more patient I've learned to become with people. People have people problems. Consider your own weaknesses. So whenever you're going to judge a person, judge who's right for you, judge where you should be, make sure you consider where you are. I'll give you this. There's some things I've overcome like that. Get it and get over it. There's some things when truth hit me, I made an immediate change. There are other things when that truth hit me, the change was gradual. I still fell, but I fell forward. I say I fell forward because I was falling towards better. Some things happen progressively, and then there are some things you can change immediately. Either way, whether it's an immediate change or a progressive change, change is being made. So in that area that you're changing, you shouldn't be unfairly judged. Well, how does a person know afar off what changes are being made? They don't. There are times when God would give a person discernment, but even in discerning, we know in part, we prophesy in part. So as much as people think they know, they don't know as much as they proclaim. We have a brain and we have a spirit to be able to judge things and see things and make calculations based on past experiences. But you can't be so sure in your judgment. You can't be so sure that you don't leave room for you to err. It's like the boy that cried wolf. You know the story. He cried wolf. He did. He cried wolf, wolf so long that the town became accustomed to his lies. So when the wolf finally showed up and he told them the wolf is here, they didn't believe him. They didn't believe him because he had been crying wolf for so long. Well, the other side of that was we write people off, and sometimes we write them off too soon because they're struggling with an issue that is beyond them. Some issues are hereditary. They're in our bloodline. All of us are the product of tainted blood. Meaning, David said it. This is how David said your blood was tainted. He said, I was born in iniquity. Or I was born in sin. And in he said, I was one translation says, I was born in sin, and in iniquity did my mama conceive. Another translation says, I was born in sin and shaped or fashioned in iniquity. As time went along, this iniquity came a part of my behavior. It grew as I grew. In other words, something wrong with all of us. David said, this iniquity was tailor-made for me. It knows my ins and outs. If you've ever had tailor-made clothing, it is immensely different than buying something off of the rack. And David said there are some things that have been tailor-made for me based on my weaknesses. And I just want to warn you this morning, or encourage you, or challenge you, that in your judgments, make sure you're not judging beyond what a person deserves. Make sure you're not being so good to them, you're not holding them responsible or holding them accountable. But make sure at the same time that you're not overly judging them and condemning them to the point that there is no restoration. There's a balance. It's a balance to this, you know. I have people that let me down. I have people that say they're going to do something and they don't do it. Well, I measure the act by who a person's been. Is this common? Is this something they do? Let's just say, yeah, this is what they do. Well, I shouldn't be disappointed. In fact, I should believe that they get better, but manage my hope and my expectation based on who you've proven to be. So if we have a meeting and we say we're going to meet at 3:00 and you don't show up because you're constantly late, or you just don't show up at all. Well, when I set the meeting, I should have known that there's a chance you weren't going to make it based on who you've shown me to be. Why are we constantly let down and upset over behavior that is so common to us? Every time I set a meeting, I know there's a possibility the person I'm set it, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, there's a possibility that they're not going to make it. That's the chance you take when you're dealing with humans. When somebody makes a meeting with me, the rule is the same. But I'm not expecting someone who's proven to be inconsistent. I'm not expecting them to be consistent. I have to pick and choose my battles with them and my appointments with them. If I got a lot going on and I'm in meetings, or there are things that demand my attention today is not the day that I'm going to choose to meet someone who is inconsistent in their behavior, because there's a possibility they're not going to show up, and it's going to add to the stress that I have in the day already. So if I'm going to fairly judge my situation, my schedule, and what I need in today, on my busiest of days, I deal with people that have proven to be most consistent. Sometimes people are inconsistent because they're busy. They've got a lot. They're being stretched. And you're taking it personal because you don't have that much going on. How unfair is that? You have unfairly judged this person and the situation, and you've placed yourself high because you don't have the load that they're carrying. Everybody doesn't carry the same load. Stephanie Clark, good to see you this morning. Everybody doesn't bear the same burden. There are some people who are carrying a much heavier load than you. Therefore, they should be given more grace. You got one business. You got one thing. You got one thing you do. You working on the rest. And because a person can't be there for you consistently or the way you've been there for them, you misjudge them. Well, consider the load. Consider the load. I say this all the time. Busy people understand busy people. I have never had a problem with a person not calling me back. I haven't. Figured you're busy. One of the reasons I don't, because it's hard for me to call everybody back. You know, in the course of a day, if you're responsible for at least 20 people, how do you find time to do your daily things, the things that are required from you daily, meet those goals with people, return emails, return text message, take every call people back on the calls you've missed, make appointments, do the work, do all the things that are required, and still manage to make everybody happy? It's not going to happen. It's not. And if you are fairly judging, you should give people that grace to miss the mark. Nobody's perfect like you. Nobody is. Even Jesus lost one. You're so righteous and beyond perfection to the point that no one can meet your standard or expectation. Here's another thing I'm going to give you. We have different gifts. There are some people. My church administrator. I'm grateful to God for her. She's such a wonderful person. She really is. She cares for people. It's one of the things that I like about her. She cares more for people than I do. And God kind of linked us together. We worked on some other initiatives. And I'll never forget when we launched the church. Hadn't talked to her in maybe a couple of years. And I called her, hey, the Lord's had you on my heart. I'm launching this church. And I kind of feel like you're supposed to be a part of it. This initiative that you have, this leadership thing that you do. I kind of think this is what she said. I was expecting this call. She said, because the Lord's been dealing with me too. Anyway, the Lord will bring people together, but she's very, very organized. All that emotion biting, I'm an emotional biter. Let me tell you what an emotional biter is. You can kind of sell me through your feelings. You go to crying and you say the right story. You're going to move me. She's not really moved. She's moved by that job being done. So you got to have a balance. But anyway, the point is her gift is administration. Now, I can administrate, but I'm a visionary. I see more than I'm able to govern in terms of administering organization. It would take me longer to do what she can do in about 5 seconds because that's her gift. But when I go to calling out stuff that I see, she's like, wow, how'd you get that? Because I see it. You have to operate in your gift, but you have to give people grace to walk in theirs. And then you have to understand that just because you're gifted to do something, everybody doesn't share in the same grace. So instead of comparing yourself to other people and allowing them to compare themselves to you, no, appreciate them for what they bring to the table. It's supposed to be different. If you and all your friends are good at the same thing, your friendship is out of balance. It's out of whack. You need people around you who are good at what you're poor in. You need people around you who can do what you can't do. And that shouldn't turn into intimidation. Yeah, and I'm talking about, I look at people, I have friends who are gifted in so many different areas, and I marvel at their level of gifting. I do. I'm in awe. I'm like, wow, man, that is amazing. And it never gets old to me. And I praise them. And I remind them what a gift they are. I also remind them what a blessing and a gift that they've been to me. I also remind them, don't you ever let anybody talk you off the balcony of your gifting. Don't you do it. I don't care who it is. I don't care what they bring to the table. Please know that you're so gifted. Nobody can do it like you can. I don't care how many people that are in your lane. There's something that you do to this thing that nobody is gifted to do but you. So we can judge. We can. We should. But we have to be fair in our judging. We should be fair judges. Consider who a person is. Look, consider their heart and what their heart has been toward you. It's easy to get into your emotions and try and make judgment. And let me give you this and I'm done. True maturity is when you're able to stand outside of your feeling and make adjustments according to what's needed. Too many of us, we get in our feelings. Well, I feel you. That's the problem. You feeling. The world is no place for your feelings. Your feelings should be reserved for those who love you and have a more intimate relationship with you. Outside of your circle, the people that love you, you shouldn't take nothing personal because people are going to be people. I have people, you didn't return my call. I'm not proud of this, but I'm just, right now I have 94 text messages. This morning I had 300 emails. All this is from this week. I can't possibly be there for everybody. And this is why, let me give you this. When you're judging, when you're looking at situations and you're trying to assess people, you're trying to figure out who they are. And don't be disappointed when you're dealing with busy people. Here's the other thing. When you understand a person's heart, you will never misjudge their actions. My heart is to please everybody. My heart is to be there for everybody. My heart is to give everybody financial blessings. My heart is to make sure that everybody's okay. My heart is to look out for. But there's only 24 hours in a day. I'm not omnipresent. I can't be everywhere at the same time. I can't be involved in everything at the same. So it takes time. It does. And then it takes time to get the people. But I have to also monitor and maintain my mental health, my health, physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health, because I'm no good to nobody if I haven't been good to me. And trying to run and please everybody and make sure everybody have everything that they need, you're going to run yourself in the ground. Now, let me tell you the unfortunate part of life and people. When you die, they're going to move on and find somebody else. Listen to me. Let me tell you how the world is. Queen Elizabeth died. They already installed King Charles to take her place before they even had the girl's funeral. Hey, before y'all go to assigning my position to other people, bury me first. That's the world that we're in. So you got to get over yourself, get over your feelings, and you got to consider the entire picture and not just the picture of your mood for the moment. That's how you properly judge. You've got to assess things properly. Improper assessments leads to unfair judgments. Improper assessments leads to unfair judgment. You judge things and people unfairly. And this is why it becomes so hard for us to move and gain the rhythm that we need, is because now we're so afraid because of how people are and how they've handled themselves emotionally. Now, I want all y'all to do me a favor. If you appreciate what I'm talking about, this Sunday, I want you to meet me at Encounter Church. I got to do it. I want you to meet me at Encounter Church, and I want you to bring 2 people with you. I'm so grateful to the people that God is adding to what we do. But I know it's a lot more that's supposed to be there, and they're supposed to bring somebody. It's kind of like a restaurant. You don't go to a restaurant and it's good and not tell nobody. Bring them to church, 1 o'clock Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, 1 o'clock, 600 King Street, Jacksonville, Florida, 32205, Encounter Church. We share a building with another church. They generally are out of there about 12:15. And we start our service at 1 o'clock. This Sunday past was outrageous. It was amazing. It shocked me. But I want you to bring someone. I want you to meet me there. Here's the other thing that I want you to do. Find one person today. Find one person who's not in your Rolodex, who's not necessarily in your path. I want you to find one person, go out of the way, and be kind to them. Don't just give them no hug. Give them a gift card, some lunch money. Make a sacrifice. Give them $30. Find one person and just give them $30. K Press and Andre Mitchell, they'll tell you it was amazing service. It was crazy up in there. And I don't think this Sunday is going to be anything less. One of the things that we're trying to establish, because we're still young, still in the embryonic stages. So there are adjustments that are being made weekly. But one of the things that we're trying to establish is that we really want this place to be a place where the Spirit of God can move freely as He fit. One Sunday, all we did was worship. Another Sunday, we preached and prophecy jumped on us, and we prophesied about Lord. Anyway, we want God to move, because only He and He alone completely knows the needs of His people. And I think we have an obligation to give God His house back. It's not about us. Thank you all for joining me on Coffee Time. I'm blessed to have such an amazing audience. I'm also blessed to have such amazing people that support the work that God has given us. I can't do it without you. That's real. I oftentimes, seriously, I am marveled. I really am at the support of the people who watch this show, who come to the church. Y'all don't know how much you bless me, and maybe I don't do enough. Maybe I don't do enough testifying about what a blessing you are to me. There have been days when my heart has been heavy. Just jumping on, seeing your faces have made it that much better. I'll make a confession. Today is one of those days. Got some things I've got to deal with today that are not necessarily favorable to my liking. Anytime you have to make decisions about a person's future, people's future, it can be complicated, because I really want people to win. I really want people to have. I promise you, if I was a billionaire, all y'all would have money. I promise you. And I know that to be true because I give more than I receive. And it's because my heart, as much of a disaster that I've been in some cases, sometimes seem to be, oh, he's so tough and mean. I promise you I'm not. Sometimes those are defense mechanisms because you've dealt with people who judge you unfairly for so long. You build these walls of defense, and you can't really show people your soft spots because people have a way of taking advantage. They find something precious and they want to take advantage. I'm gonna give you this, and then I'm gonna go. The other thing is you need to know. You need to know that what you're called to do is going to attract people, and everybody that it attracts is going to want to be in your inner circle. And that's a hard position to be in because if you really love people, you want to bring them in your inner circle. But you have to be careful with that too, because you have weaknesses. And y'all hear my heart in this. A lot of times when I'm being standoffish, it's to protect you. Because there are things that I'm overcoming. There are things that I have to deal with. There are things that I'm fighting. And sometimes it's not physical things. Sometimes it's mental things. It's psychological. Sometimes it's spiritual. I remember one time I was dealing with a lot, and I know the Lord told me, you need to get away. Turn that phone off and get away. And I went and got a hotel, stayed there the entire weekend. Well, at least that Friday. I stayed there that Friday, that Saturday. And then the Sunday morning I had to go to church. This is when I was working for another church. And just that getaway was so refreshing until it caused me to see people beyond what I was feeling. And people are hurting. It caused me to see the needs of people. People are hurting. And hurt people hurt people. So make sure in your judgments that you're being fair, you're being merciful. Maybe a person didn't speak to you. Oh, I know they saw me, looked right at me and didn't speak. People have told me that, and I can promise you I didn't see them. People think just because the body is in alignment that the mind is there also. Your body can be there and your mind can be gone, and your mind really determines what you see. This past Sunday, when I got to church, the Lord just had me in this place, and I know it was him because it's not the place that I'm accustomed to living in, where I just didn't have any time for no games. I had no time for games. I needed stuff to be right. I didn't have time for the pleasantries that I would normally give. I was on a mission. I was on an assignment, and I had to get that thing off me, and I was so focused. And one of my dear friends said, bro, you ain't even speak to me. I said, let me apologize. I didn't see. He said, but you look right at me. But my mind wasn't there. And this is why we have to be gracious. You can be so consumed with what you want and what you feel that you totally overlook where a person is. You don't leave enough room in there for them to err. And that is dangerous. And that's going to keep you hurt. And you'll go from place to place and experience the same thing because it's something you've never overcome. Understand that the world and our society is bigger than you. And because the world is bigger than you, it's not just about how you feel. Give people the grace that you want to receive. Give people the space that you know you deserve. You don't want to be misjudged. So before making a judgment in all of your get an understanding. Understand the whole loaf, not just the slice, before you make a decision. Because a lot of decisions are made prematurely based on our feelings. And because those things are done based on how we feel, because the decisions are made based on how we feel, we don't include how another person may be feeling in that moment, because we're making judgments and assessments based on where we sit. But you've got to consider the entire loaf. Okay? Be gracious. Don't be so easily offended. Understand that people have a lot going on. Understand that to a certain degree, all of us are carrying something. I'm merciful to you. You be merciful to me. We spread that mercy, and that's how the kingdom grows. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. Do me a favor. If you can, we're able to do what we do by your love and your love gifts. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for your support. But if you can this morning, will you join me? Because I'm gonna give too. Will you join me this morning in giving $75 to $sponsor coffee time? There are two people. One person is trying to get their own place. They don't have the money. And another person, we've helped them get a place, but they just need groceries. You just need groceries. And I want to be able to bless both of them today. If you could give $75 or $175 or $275 or $10,075 or $1,075. I don't have any special prophetic number, 7 me's and 5 me's and what the Lord is saying I don't have any of that. I do have this to tell you. There's times I've been in need and God came through for me, so I try and come through for other people. I can't meet everybody's need. I can't. I wish I could. I can't. But I do what I can. And there are two people that I want to be a blessing to this morning. And I need your help in order to do that. If 10 people gave $75, that's $750. If 10 people gave $100, that's $1,000. If 10 people gave $200, that's $2,000. Give as much as you can. If you say, you know what, I was blessed with, I got $1,575 extra dollars, and I've been praying, Lord, what should I do with it? And there's a witness in your spirit. So that just because I asked for 75 don't mean you can't give more. And just because you don't have more don't mean you can't give less. Help a brother out as we continue to help serve our community, help serve the people, help meet the needs of those around us. I don't believe I have a heart. I'm going to be going to Africa here next year. I have a heart for the motherland, but I refuse for me, I can't send all that money over there unless I'm doing it here first. I'm not going to look beyond my neighbor to give to another country. No, I'm going to help my neighbor and help another country. So if you can, I appreciate it. The Cash App is $sponsor coffee time. That's what it is. Listen, you were born to win, predestined to succeed. There is nothing that can happen to you today that the wisdom on the inside of you is not able to handle. But you got to calm down, relax, trust God, give wisdom space to move. And when wisdom speak, you will always win. Y'all go have a productive day. Love you much. Appreciate all you do. I appreciate y'all straight up. You make it worth what it costs. Y'all have a great day. And always remember to think higher, speak life.
Coffee time. Yeah, this ain't your average cup of joe. Listen, I need it in the morning, I need it at night. He always keeps it brewing, he always keeps it tight. Just a little sip, it'll get you right. Terrence Pickett always be the one that gets the coffee right. The coffee's right, the coffee's right in my life. It's never a wrong time over crime to get what's yours and to get what's mine. Come on, coffee time in my life. Coffee time, coffee time. Feels so right. I need a little sugar, put it in my cup. Can you stir it, Terrence? Let me know what's up. And at the end of the show, you can brew another pot. Just make sure you make it hot. Come on.